Let's begin with the Chicago Bears. We explained yesterday that Coach Matt Nagy was going to make a decision last night, along with his offensive coaching staff, as to who the quarterback would be. The decision has been made. Here is Matt Nagy announcing it earlier today.
Got up this morning and went through the tape, and at the end of it, we decided that we're going to start Nick Foles as a starter against Indianapolis. So both quarterbacks are aware of that. I know it's, for us, it's never easy. When you go into these type of situations, I want to credit both of those guys in yesterday's situation for being really supportive of each other this whole time. Even as hard as that was for Mitch to be told that he's Nick's going to go in and play. Mitch was, to his credit, was just an awesome supporter of Nick the rest of that game, and he flat out told Nick, "I'm going to have your back just like you've had mine from the start." I think that speaks to who he is, as well, with him speaking to all you guys after the game, which he doesn't have to do, and he did it. And I think that speaks volumes to Mitch and who he is as a person. So, we're still going to support each other as we move forward here. We have a healthy quarterback room, and we're just looking forward to prepping here against the Colts.
It really is amazing, Charean, when you think about it. Take a step back. The Bears start 2-0. Mitch Trubisky, who was named the starter 8 days or 9 days before the start of the regular season, leads the team back from a 17-point second-half deficit against the Lions. They hold off the Giants. Yeah, they probably let the Giants back into a game that they shouldn't have, but they're 2-0. They're 2-0. And they're down 16 points in the second half against a team that notoriously blows leads. And Mitch Trubisky did not, through 10 quarters of football, build up enough equity to hold on to the job. It's astounding when you think about it. I mean, if there was going to be a benching of Trubisky after 3 games, we assume they'd at least be 1-2, maybe 0-3. It's jarring when you think about it. It makes you wonder why Trubisky had the job in the first place.
Well, and that's the biggest surprise, Mike, was that he won the job in the first place. And I think if there had been a regular offseason where they got the on-field work and Nick Foles had learned the offense fully, I think Nick Foles would have come out of that with the starting job. And I think that they just felt uncomfortable with Foles and his knowledge of the offense. Now, they kept saying, it's like riding a bike for him. He's been under Matt Nagy before. But then when all was said and done and they named Mitchell Trubisky as a starter, if they went back to, Nick doesn't know the offense well enough. He needs more time in it. Apparently he knows it well enough because he played really good in the fourth quarter. And I would say this. I think Nick Foles is probably, if not the best backup in NFL history, right there with Earl Morrall and maybe some other guys that you could name. Now, he hasn't made a lot of starts, and I think that's the big question mark for him. He's never started more than 11 games in a season.
Yeah, and look, there aren't many backup quarterbacks that ever won the Super Bowl MVP award, if any. And Jeff Hostetler is the only one that comes. And was he even the MVP of that game? No, it was Otis Anderson, because Hostetler didn't do all that much in Super Bowl 25. So it's just so strange. They acquire Nick Foles. We assume Nick Foles is going to be the guy. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of checking the boxes. And Trubisky outperformed him apparently dramatically in training camp. And Sims and I were talking about this today under the assumption that Foles would get the nod. Apparently, since the moment Trubisky became the starter, Foles performing better in practice, maybe Trubisky not performing as well, but something clicked, something happened, something went down behind the scenes to cause Matt Nagy to have what he described to me yesterday as that gut feeling that the time had come to flip from Trubisky to Foles, because again, it's the Falcons. It's the team that's notorious for blowing leads. And if you let Trubisky hang in there, and if Trubisky pulls that one off, you're giving him an even greater confidence boost. Instead, he's now thrown under the bus, and that's the coach's prerogative. But from the standpoint of his own confidence, he's not going to build that back until Foles either gets injured or gets benched. And if I had to pick between the two, I'd say injury. We have to keep that on the radar screen. He took a big hit yesterday on the game-winning touchdown pass. He took a big hit on the first touchdown pass he threw as a member of the Jaguars last year, and he broke a collarbone. He's not a big, thick guy that is going to end up withstanding that kind of a pounding. So Trubisky had better stay ready, and they better do what they can to keep him at the right mindset so he can come in and perform. because they're probably going to need him at some point over the next 13 games.
Yeah, they probably are, Mike. And it was a good time to, if you're going to make that change, you made it in the game. And you knew when you made it in a game, you don't make it in a game and that backup comes in and leads you to a victory. And then you're going to go back to the other guy. That wasn't going to happen. I think we all knew that. I think Mitchell Trubisky probably knew that yesterday as he's standing there on the sideline and Nick Foles is leading them back. But they're through the soft part of their schedule. I mean, these were 3 games that were winnable. And they won them somehow, some way. They made it harder probably than it should have been, but they won these games. And so now they get in the meat of their schedule, and it was the right time, as Matt Nagy said, that gut feeling, because the schedule is going to get harder, and Nick Foles is that guy probably to lead them, at least until he gets hurt. I think this is going to be his job. Mitchell Trubisky might have played his last game in Chicago. That is a fact, unless Foles gets hurt.
And Nagy told me last night he does not want to go back and forth, which was the strongest clue, I believe, that it was going to be Foles, because if you just had a gut feeling that caused you to remove Mitchell Trubisky, the chances of Trubisky being the guy you put back in with the mandate that you're the guy, no more gut feelings, that's slim. He knows that Foles is the guy. He's known that Foles is the guy. There's a story out there that may never be told because, frankly, we may not care about it if the Bears go down the drain here. But if they end up being a playoff team and end up having some success in the postseason like Nick Foles' teams have had in the past, there's a hell of a story as to why he wasn't the Week 1 and Week 2 starter, because maybe he should have been. And at this point, it doesn't matter because you're right. He is until further notice. And I think the only way Trubisky is back on the field for the Bears is if Foles gets injured, or if they come up with some sort of specialty package where he's almost like a Taysom Hill type of a figure. We're going to talk about Taysom Hill coming up later in the show, but Sims and I spitballed about that in the offseason, the possibility that Foles is a starter. You still find a way to get Trubisky onto the field because he's extremely athletic.
Yeah, he is athletic. He can make plays. I went and looked at his stats, and the wins, the losses, all the stats, they're okay. I mean, they're not great, but they're okay. And he's going to be good enough that somebody's going to give him a job next year, but he's also good enough that he can help you this year. Even if it's as your backup quarterback, he can help you this year. And the Bears think they have a really good team. They think they have as good a team as they had a couple years ago, and they should have won that playoff game against the Eagles, if not for the clank off the goalpost on the field goal. So they think they have a good team. So he needs to be ready. He needs to stay involved. I think he has a really good mindset. That's what's probably impressed me more about him than anything else that he's done on the field.
And the bottom line is this: assuming that Foles stays healthy on Sunday against the Colts, win or lose, because that's not an easy game for the Bears, 10 days from now, Thursday Night Football, Super Bowl 52 reunion and NFC Central reunion, although that's a lesser reunion than having Nick Foles and Tom Brady on the field together again. Prime time. You know, we're paying the penance this week with Broncos-Jets. We're getting the payoff next week with Buccaneers, Bears, Tom Brady, and Nick Foles, and a game that could have significant implications for both teams if both teams continue their winning ways. But you're right. The easy part of the schedule is over now, and you've got games coming up against the Bucs, the Rams, the Saints, the Titans. They play the Vikings twice. They have to go to Green Bay. So Bears 3-0, and we'll see where they go from here.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.